That is proposal number 243. Is the author present?
I am.
Seeing as there are no amendments, author, you're recognized for your 4-minute opening summation. You may begin when ready.
Thank you, Chair. Donahue, North Carolina delegation, I'd like to reserve the right to yield the remainder of my time to my closing summation.
That is your right.
Imagine for a moment life in an addict's shoes. You're a normal human being with dreams, wants, desires, and personal issues. You have memories of a once picture-perfect life gone wrong. Now the only desire that you can physically even think about caring for is your drug. You can't help yourself. It seems hopeless. There's no way to stop. And now, when you walk down the street, you are constantly pierced by judgmental and disgusted looks by others. You start to think of yourself as a second-class citizen. And one day, when all the judgments by others becomes too much, you overdose. This is a very common story for many addicts here in the United States. They feel helpless, abused, and constantly thought of as being less than human for their problems. However, there is a way to stop this trend through the implementation of Insight clinics in our major cities. First used in Vancouver, BC, this drug shoot-up facility has continued to amaze both doctors and economists alike. Started in an environment rampant with drug addiction, homelessness, and soaring HIV contraction rates, Canada's premier drug capital was an ambitious starting point, to say the least. The clinic offers free needles, tourniquets, alcohol, a full nursing staff, everything needed to inject the user's drug. While most of the society shuns these addicts like the Black Plague, workers of the Insight Clinic are there with open arms, offering a place where these people can finally feel human again. However, as soon as many of these addicts hit rock bottom, most usually as an overdose, the Insight nursing staff is able to do an even more incredible thing: give them a second chance at life. Instead of making the courageous walk upstairs to the rehabilitation portion called on-site, without the Insight Clinic, these users would be lying face down, dead, in a dark and secluded alleyway. Not only does Insight have the ability to rehabilitate hard drug users, but it also can do so without encouraging recreational drug use. According to the U.S. Surgeon General and the Department of Health and Human Services senior scientists, and I quote, "It was unanimously agreed upon that there is conclusive scientific evidence that needle-sharing programs such as the Insight Clinic are an effective public health intervention that reduces the transmission of HIV and does not encourage the use of illegal drugs." Fiscally speaking, saving over $18 million for the state and producing over 1,175 life years for the Canadian city of Vancouver, the facilities have proven their effectiveness. In over 4 years, there have been over 484 overdoses and 0 deaths. This is to help save lives and rescue people from a dark and fatal path that awaits them on the street. Thank you, I yield my time.
Thank you, sir. Chair. Javarius Bradford, Wisconsin. This proposal, it completely undermines the war on drugs in the U.S. I mean, it's nearly impossible to try to end war or drugs in the U.S. if we have a facility like this. I mean, it would be nearly impossible to stop drug cartels if we have a clinic of this matter. Also, this proposal shows discrimination against other crimes. I mean, you're allowed to come together to assemble to do drugs, but you're not allowed to come together to plan a robbery or a rape. Now, I'm understanding the degree of that is not as bad as doing drugs, but it still is crime nonetheless. And I mean, let's be honest, these addicts are not going to come together peacefully and do drugs. Addicts are statistics, I mean, along with that, drug addicts fight. And they fight each other over drugs. An addict will kill their own mom over drugs, and that's just because they are addicted to the substance so badly. There's nothing in this proposal that attacks the nurses and the people that work in this clinic. What if one of these addicts decided they want to lash out one of the people who work in this facility because they don't have drugs? I think that we all can agree that addicts are a danger to themselves and others. So putting them in a room together, you're basically asking for someone to be harmed or even worse, killed. And this proposal is very ironic. You allow people who can come here and do drugs, but you're also allowing them to come clean. I mean, you're condoning their addiction, so I don't really see, I think it's going to be a very low percentage of people who decide to take the detoxification. And I'm not saying a lot of people won't receive detox, it's just be very low percentage of people who do. And one last thing, when I think of this proposal being passed, I think of the little boy who with his mom, who was taught that drugs were wrong and they shouldn't smoke and he shouldn't use them, but then his mom drives past this place and he's confused as to why this place is there for people to do drugs because drugs are wrong to do. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you, Sir Chair. Victoria Morris from the Republic of Texas. I just want to keep this pretty short, simple, and sweet. The Vancouver Clinic in British Columbia, as said, showed a 45% reduction in public drug use. Plus, 33% are more likely to go into detox. As said, 484 overdose interventions have no fatalities. 55.3% of people in America between the ages of 12 and 35 use illegal drugs. 25% of those overdose. So I want to ask you all this one question. If it can work in Canada, why can't we do it in America? And why can't we do it even better? Thank you. I yield the remaining time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate.